and welcome to the 93rd episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast, at least for a few more days. So with me again today is Sam.
Hey.
So just a little background on the project. Back on my birthday last April, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past 360 days. Although only the last 93 have been podcasts. Before that, it was text reviews. So how you doing over there?
I have to sneeze.
You have to sneeze? Should I pause it?
Nah.
Nah?
I'll power through.
Okay. So today we watched a short film called Night Terror from 2017.
That's the name of it?
Yeah, Night Terror. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't remember? Did you already forget?
It could be anything. Night and Terror, you know? Be Terror Night. Terror.
So basically, the premise of this one is that a woman is, she's in a rush, she's trying to leave her house, because she's late for an appointment of some kind, that, just watch it if you want to know. But some weird shit happens when she's trying to leave, basically. Some weird-ass weird shit. So, Sam, how did you like Night Terror?
I liked it, actually.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So this is actually filmed in 4K, which I did want to make a specific notation of. So, like, if you're somebody who has, like, $1 billion zillion to spend on a 4K TV and you like horror, you could definitely look this up on YouTube. It was really good resolution. Like, we watched it on my the monitor that I have that's like actually an HD screen. It usually has some problems with like things seeming too dark, but it's actually HD, and it looks crystal clear, awesome. What did you think about the lighting?
Looked good.
It looked good. Very natural. I felt like there were a couple of places where it would have been really easy to poorly light them in these specific locations, and they definitely were not. What specific things did you like about this that, in so much as we can talk about?
Yeah, the premise was really good. I don't know how much you want to talk about the premise or not talk about the premise.
Yeah, probably mostly not talk about the premise.
So what was it about, then?
It's about a woman who's trying to leave her house and some weird shit happens.
Okay, so the way they handled the weird shit was really good and actually added something to it.
Yeah.
And made you want to continue watching it.
Yeah, it was like
There's a lot of other not even problems, just maybe like not even quality issues, but just maybe not as high or stylized or whatever as much as it could have been, The setting is like pretty bland, which is fine because that's what the story's about. It's a kind of a style
choice too.
Yeah, that's the kind of what the story is, and it helps that it like take place in that bland, like not bland, but like reality, bland, like how reality is bland.
Yeah, not overly, not overly cluttered or, visually.
Yeah, just very stark.
Yeah, intentionally so.
Yeah, which helps the story. And yeah, so that even some of the stuff that might be like
that one might argue in another film.
Is a drawback. This has those things, and they help the story, and that's another reason.
Yeah,
why I really liked it. For other reasons, but specifically like ingenuity in that way.
Yeah,
of being able to create the effect they wanted with, I don't know what they had or what they came up with. However,
right.
That was.
Yeah. So, I do think, as we just talked about, that it was intentional, but I think beyond being intentionally, some of the locations were, again, sort of like stark or sparsely decorated. it's clearly meant for visual contrast, not just intentional, like this is the location that they're trying to set it in for a reason, but it was done for visual contrast, and the visual contrast is very good. And especially, again, this is filmed in 4K. This is such a new thing that for a short film to do that, it's clearly, like, I don't want to go ahead and say it's a gimmick, but it's definitely, like, it's done intentionally to show you, the quality of that medium, like the benefits of watching something in 4K. It does that very well. It shows that visual contrast, and it works on that level of, like, being like, okay, this is a good way to show off 4K. Look what we can do with 4K. With, probably not a super large budget. I don't think it needed any more budget than it really had, unless they wanted to just add more to the story. But I did think that was neat, and I did like the contrast. And honestly, the stuff that they did show, there's, like, the most of it, obviously, it takes place in the house, and the house is decorated, like, there's some really neat art pieces. They're very, again, it's very monochromatic, but it's intentional to show the contrast. So, I enjoyed it. Definitely at the moment when you realize, like, where the horror movie is gonna kick in was like, huh, that's interesting. That's something that I hadn't seen before. Yeah. And I really, really appreciated that, because to be completely honest, the first couple of minutes of the movie where it just starts and she's trying to run out the door and get to her thing that she's trying to get to, I felt like it I kind of, like, looked for the little ad icon in the corner.
Yeah, it looks like a commercial.
It totally looks, and it feels like a commercial. Like, usually in a commercial there would be music over the top of it, but it literally, like, the beginning of how it goes looks like the beginning of...
Sorry. Podcast canceled. My PlayStation turned on.
His PlayStation 1 turned on all of a sudden. Sam has the PlayStation 1
No, my PlayStation is on.
Has the PlayStation 1 logo, or not logo, but the intro as his text notification, because he hates everybody and wants us all to suffer, basically. That is such a long one for a text, is all I'm saying.
Thanks.
What the heck was I saying? Oh, the beginning of it just feels so much like a commercial. It feels like, when life gets in the way, blah, blah, something.
When life gets in the way, good thing you're not in a horror movie.
Good thing you're not in a horror movie.
But you are.
No, when life gets in the way, there's Discover or something like that. It really felt like a commercial. And I looked a couple of times to see if there was the ad icon there. So that's probably not, like, a super ringing endorsement of this, but I think once it actually starts getting into the horror movie parts and stops feeling like a commercial, it's pretty good. It's kind of
I actually really liked the beginning because it seemed like that, and that's what made me think that the setting was intentional.
Yeah,
is how like picturesque, like it looks like a commercial. Commercials are made to look so like picturesque.
That. Yeah, they are. Yeah,
and it helps you with the contrast of the horror element. And I think that worked really good. I can only assume it was that intentional. I don't know how.
I'm sure they didn't mean it to actually feel like one of those commercials, to the point where, again, somebody's looking for the ad.
Probably not to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
But probably somewhat.
I did like the idea of it, like the Charmed Life stuff, where she's just like, I've got to do this thing, and trying to rush, and it, like, that all feels great. I do like that principle of life just turning into a horror movie all of a sudden, and the way that it happens is actually really interesting in this, and unique. Not something I've quite seen before in this way, and certainly not in a short film. But I felt like the level to which it felt like a commercial was a little bit high. I think they should have had something somehow to denote that, this isn't actually a commercial. I mean, and it's...
Yeah, like more opening credits or a little interlude.
Yeah. If they had... Yeah, honestly, yeah, even the just the opening
credits...
It
was kind of interesting. It just starts.
It does. It starts very quickly. It's right into a conversation.
Which is weird. I had a suspicion that it was going to go similar to the way it went.
Like, once it turned, it was going to turn?
No, even before that. Because of how, like, I was like, oh, okay, this is the short film.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is so, like, picturesque.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
it's gonna go
next
downhill
thing
fast.
that happens, I kind of like in my head had thought that's where it could and probably should go.
Oh yeah, no, I actually felt kind of the same once I realized again for sure that it wasn't a commercial.
So that was Terror Night.
Sam decided. Night of the Terrors.
Good seeing you all.
Yeah, is that right?
Oh, what else you want to say?
So yeah, I liked that too. I liked the really steep drop off of Charmed Life into horror movie. I think that a lot of times they try to ramp you up to it, and in certain cases you have to do that, but just the specific manner in which things changed, I think gave you enough that it put you right in that mood pretty early. And I think that if they had made it more gradual than it was, it wouldn't have had the same effect, either visually or for the story. So I thought that was a perfect way to go. And I've always wanted somebody to just drop you into a horror movie in a way that that you can still believe. It's such a hard thing to go with the suspension of disbelief when they just drop you into something. But in this particular case, they do it in such a way that you're there. For me personally, I was just like, oh, okay, we're here. And I was already sold on it. I was interested and yeah. I don't know. I liked that.
All right, and that was our thoughts on
Sam.
Terrible Nights, a medieval romp through adventure.
Why are you trying to end this? So what did you think about the acting?
It was fine.
There's a couple of moments where I felt like the main character probably could have gone a little differently, could have chosen a different mood for stuff.
It's a little weird in certain parts. Not, terribly,
no.
oh, this sucks because the acting's so bad.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of weird stuff, and maybe that's just,
not quite
the type
natural.
of movie it is, / that's what it's like being in a horror movie. It can only be so realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of this stuff's happening.
Right.
And so I kind of felt like that, and without
getting
talking about specifically what happens. I can't be at this part when they were this.
Yeah.
It was weird, but that's essentially what I'm saying without the specifics of telling you what happens in the movie, so that there's no point in watching it.
Right. Yeah. What did you think about the voice acting on the phone?
It was fine. I didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty good. That felt more realistic. I mean, and maybe it's because you didn't have to see
than the actual
face.
acting from that character.
No, the actual acting was fine. But more than the other characters is what I was more saying.
It just seemed more fluid.
Yeah.
It was good. It's just voiceover stuff, but
which again is sort of a hard skill for some people.
It definitely is.
It's
not easy.
It's harder than you would think, and a lot of times it's harder than actual acting, in person, because again, and I know we mentioned this on that other one that had that featured a phone call. I don't remember what the title of it was now, but you don't have the facial expressions to back up what you're saying, so the way that you act is slightly different and possibly more exaggerated, or you do have to do things a little bit differently. And differently than you would in person, just as a person saying something. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I did like the voice acting over the phone, personally. I thought there were a few moments with the actor, the female actor, that weren't exactly right. But I think more than that, there were a few things that she did, written into the story that she did, that weren't quite where I would have done something else. That's more with the script. Yeah, that's a script problem, not an acting problem at all. Not at all.
There was just a few things when people were talking to each other that were I don't know, just kind of weird.
Yeah.
The way people are acting and the way they were reacting.
Yeah.
Was just a little off, but it's a 5-minute movie, it's only there for a second. Something like that. And then you gets to the next scene. So it's kind of something that, maybe they meant to escalate or something else, but they didn't have time.
Right.
But nothing that was, obviously made me not like this or think it was super weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you think about the effects?
Oh, they were good. There's not a lot of them.
Not a lot, yeah.
But they're all really good, and I really like when people stay within the realm of their budget or possibilities of what they can
accomplish.
With whatever budget or whatever resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. Is there anything else that we haven't really talked about with this one?
Not without talking about
the actual thing that happens. Yeah,
this one's hard because I want to talk about what happened in the.
I do too, actually. But that's the reason why it's cool.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
This one is one that, like, if you know what's going to happen, it's not going to be nearly as cool. So yeah, no, I enjoyed this one a fair amount. Definitely the story is not something that I've seen in a short film very much. So if you have a 4K TV or if you're interested in horror and you don't give a crap about 4K, it's still pretty neat. You can see where they were definitely trying to emphasize the technology and make this sort of like a proof of concept sort of deal. But it doesn't affect the story. They don't do anything out of their way to like, that harms the story in the attempt of like enhancing their use of the technology. It's just it's a better resolution. That's all it is. If you're not familiar with 4K, it's like, I believe it's the highest resolution that the human eye is capable of seeing. You'll see 4K TVs or Ultra HD is what it's called. I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. I'm just not that person. But yeah, no, this was really interesting. This story is not something that I've seen done in this way. Now, what did you feel, Sam, about the way that the story ended, the way that this movie ended? Without getting into specifics.
Fuck, It was my least favorite part.
Yeah.
Without getting into specifics.
I don't think I was terribly disappointed. I think I would be interested to see where the story would have gone if they didn't end it where it did.
Mm-hmm.
And to like sort of understand the origins and stuff behind what's going on and what's up with this horror movie, basically.
It didn't really make sense to me in a way. Like, in a way it did, in another way I could logic how it wouldn't make sense. Which I can't talk about, otherwise everything we said to this point would be the opposite of what we were trying to accomplish.
Right.
But yeah, you could argue that it doesn't really make sense.
Well, I don't necessarily think that sense is really the thing. I think they don't give you any explanation for the thing that happens.
They don't, and it doesn't make sense in a certain way.
Okay, I'm gonna pause and find out what you're talking about. So Sam and I have a difference of opinion about whether this makes sense or not, the way that basically the horror movie functions in this. I think there are definitely ways that it could make sense. Sam really doesn't necessarily think there are ways that it could make sense. I think the real key to that whole thing, like the difference of opinion here, is that like they don't give you those answers. The answers, the things that could make it make sense or could make it not make sense, are just not in the movie. It is a short film, but it doesn't really give you a ton of resolution on what's going on. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay.
It's not that it couldn't make sense. Anything could make sense. It just doesn't, because it doesn't say anything.
See, that's exactly what I just said.
No, it's not what you just said.
They definitely don't go out of their way to make it make any specific type of sense. I'll definitely say that, because there's not enough information for that. I'm just saying, like, based on what we're given, there are explanations that could explain what's happening, and that would be totally an acceptable answers. They'd probably be hard to sell, which is why they probably use this story here instead of in a longer format, because the answers that would give you a proper explanation would be kind of dumb.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I've seen it done in other movies.
No, I mean, there are ways that they could do it.
You just said they couldn't.
No, I know, but I'm saying a lot of them would probably be dumb. you'd have to really be careful.
I've seen it in other movies and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's that mean?
Were they cheesy 80s movies?
I said they were awesome, didn't I?
So yeah, cheesy 80s movies can definitely get away with stuff like this. This was definitely trying to go for a more serious tone than like just cheesy nonsense. But again, I think what? I like cheesy nonsense.
I hate your podcast.
Oh my god. I like cheesy nonsense. I'm not knocking cheesy.
I hate this podcast officially. Take my name off of it.
Take your name off of it. Okay, Alan Moore.
Yeah, get me
Calm
off.
down,
Get
Alan
me
Moore.
off of it. Take me off of it.
Calm down. You can't take your name
I'm
off.
covered in serpent rings. If
That's
you didn't
what I was
know.
just gonna ask you.
I have a very long beard.
He says as he rubs his clean-shaven face.
Obviously, my British accent or Scottish or wherever the hell he's from.
I think he's Scottish.
As I caress my beard with my serpent rings.
I was gonna say that you can't take your name off of something unless you're wearing at least 4 serpent rings, so you don't have any of those on right now. So
I just think that because I'm using my wizard powers, but
oh, I see. This is a glamour. Oh, that's pretty
interesting.
interesting.
You're talking about, nerd.
Of course. But yeah, I do think that this definitely I would have been interested to know where this went. It would be hard to sell it in a way that was serious. And I think they were sort of trying to go for a more serious tone. And again, I think like the shift from Charmed Life to horror movie also indicates that, like, that they're trying to really make it a serious tone. And I appreciated the serious tone. I would just like to point out, Sam, you know that I like cheesy 80s stuff. Did you realize I sent you that picture of the Hellbound Heart audiobook series while I was at work, and I can't have my phone on at work? I thought it was worth the 2 minutes that I have my phone to take a screenshot of that and send it to you.
That's not cheesy.
Hellbound Heart is amazing, but what I'm saying is the Hellraiser movies... definitely sensual. The pleasure toast of it all. I mean, come on. So,
shut up. Is this podcast over yet? You're killing me.
Hellraiser is one of my favorite movies. It's super good. So, I like cheesy 80s stuff. I'm just saying, this is trying to be something else. This is trying to be something else. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not in the 80s, and it's not as good as Hellraiser.
Not as good as Hellraiser.
So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Not as good as Hellraiser. I'm just saying, like you were trying to say that...
Yeah, tell me what I was trying to say.
Okay.
You're very good at telling me.
Should I mansplain you your own feelings?
Yeah, explain my feelings to me.
So, you were trying to say that I didn't like cheesy 80s stuff.
No, I was trying to say that you're being annoying about it.
Yeah.
See, you didn't even know what I was trying to say.
Yeah, they're making
only 4 more of these.
They're making... there's 5 more.
Fuck.
They're making they're making an audio drama out of the Hellbound Heart, which is the Clive Barker novel upon which Hellraiser is made, by the way. You should definitely look into that. I'm gonna look into that. I'll probably buy it immediately. It's coming out like April 26th or some shit like that. So, if you're into Clive Barker, if you're into Hellraiser, check it out. Sam thinks it's gonna suck because Sam is not a podcast person. He only listens to podcasts where people that are really loud and obnoxious talk for literally 3 straight hours about nothing and also video games. Is that right?
Talk about fighting games?
Talk about fighting games. Yeah. Those are the only ones. Those are the only podcasts he listened to. Oh, and he listened to cereal. Sam likes cereal. All kinds of cereal.
Yeah, I like cereal.
So yeah, was there anything else that we wanted to say about this movie? No?
No, there's not much else to say. It's only 5 minutes.
It's only 5 minutes. So that's our episode today, and that's our review of... Oh, there were a couple more things I forgot that I did want to mention. So this was directed and written by Matt Lowe, who's actually an actor of some kind. He's been in a few shows, pretty popular shows as far as I know. He was in Arrow, he was in Colony, and some other ones.
Some bad shows.
Not the stuff that I watch. not that I wouldn't be possibly interested in watching Arrow, but I don't know. I haven't seen any of it. I do like the Green Arrow, but the show seems different than the Green Arrow comics.
Oh, yeah, you think?
It does. I'm gonna go ahead
I'm
gonna go ahead and just say that without any full knowledge, but yeah. And it was put out by a company called Akuma Films. That's for Samuel. I got that down. Shosh. So yeah, if you want to check that out, it's really impressive. I could have used more of the story, but again, it would be a hard sell to do in a serious tone. So I understand that level of it. It's called Night Terror from 2017, and it's on the Akuma Films page. They have some more horror stuff on there as well. This is apparently a part of a horror anthology of some sort, but I don't think they're connected in any way as far as I could see. Yeah, definitely give it a watch. I think it's kind of worth it, especially if you have a 4K TV. Might as well, watch some horror shit on there. So that's our review of Night Terror from 2017, and that's our episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, mainly where Sam and I bitch at each other off air and then come back on and try not to bitch at each other, then you should...
We didn't do a good job at it today.
No, we didn't do a good job at it today. But you can rate, review, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever platform that you found us. If you'd like to share it with someone who does not have the same platform as you, or if you don't like the platform that you found us on, we are available on YouTube, Player FM, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and pretty much any podcatcher out there. Or you can reach out to us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can email me at reclusehorror@gmail.com. So Sam, what's your rating for Night Terror?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? You don't have one at all?
No, I don't have one. Is that okay?
No.
Well, fucking too bad.
I
give it 2 fucking bads.
2 fucking bads.
Out of 2.
2. Pretty good. I'm gonna give this...
I said your name. Now you're gonna have to delete the whole podcast.
I'm gonna give this 67.5 pleasure toasts. That's what I'm gonna give it. Yeah. Is that it, Samuel?
It has nothing to do with Hellraiser.
It has nothing to do with Hellraiser. No, this is in no way related to Hellraiser. It's not even similar to Hellraiser in any aspect. Except for that...
If anything, it's similar to Beetlejuice.
If anything, it is similar to Beetlejuice. That's true.
So watch it and think about that one.
Should we give it, 17 sandworms, too?
17 Beetlejuices.
17.
Beetlejuice!
No!